Thanks for tuning into this episode of The People Around Me. Please don't forget to check out the awesome gear from No Butter Production on Instagram. So Chrissy,
Phil.
how's it going? Kristine Supple.
Good, Philippines.
Good. Welcome to The People Around Me.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. This has been how long in the making?
Well, a good month. It's
Couple-
crazy with
yeah.
our work schedules trying to get a set time.
Yep.
Finally have it done.
Yeah, we took a break last year. I think our last episode was in December-ish.
Oh my God. So you've been slacking on
I
the
took like a
people
year
around
off.
me.
Yeah, it was
off?
like a year off,
So
but
am I
now
the
we're back.
first person on the 2019 people around me?
First person back.
Excited.
First person around me, 2019. So let's get straight into it. You were my first white friend.
Yes, I was. You were my first black friend. Dad yelled at me before. I don't know what term to use.
I think black is fine. Black's
Okay.
fine. No, that's cool. So I was 17 at the time. I left my original school, which was literally nursery up until, I want to say sophomore year of high school.
Yep.
That's been me, right?
Yep.
Far Rockaway, Queens. The diversity on our end by Mott Avenue is, let's say, it's predominantly blacks, Hispanics or Latinos and Jews. My whole school experience up until the age of 17 was 100% Caribbean black folks, like literally.
Yeah.
And so how about you?
So I grew up in Bell Harbor area, more Rockaway Beach.
Okay.
And it's funny because we live on this
Same peninsula.
island,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
peninsula,
Yeah.
and it's such diversity. I'm more towards the Breezy Point, Roxbury, Rockaway Beach area.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Arvern, which is kind of the separation between Rockaway and Far Rockaway, I would
Yeah.
guess. So I grew up with a predominantly white, Catholic, Irish neighborhood. And I had gone to all-white public school for since pre-K to 8th grade. And then I went to an all-girls Catholic school freshman year. And once that closed, that's when we met sophomore year of high school. So I was 15. You were always older.
Yeah, because, credits get thrown out when you transfer from schools.
Different schools.
But how do you think that happens? Because as you said, we share the peninsula.
Yes.
Right? It's weird because you see the difference in culture, even driving 5 minutes up Mott Avenue.
Yes.
We go from this area, which is, it's decent. It's decent. It's rough. But you travel 5 minutes up the road and it's the suburbs and it's beautiful. And then even further up the beach, by where you are, it's a completely different
I
world.
never heard the term up the beach until
Up the
you
beach?
guys started saying that.
That's funny. So what did you all refer to us as?
It would be Far Rockaway.
Far Rockaway.
But it's funny because you don't really notice when it changes.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain areas of Rockaway Beach, Arvern, Far Rockaway, and then you go into Inwood and Lawrence and Five Towns. But it's really like we don't have a street that kind of separates it. But as you drive, like you say, you see such a cultural difference.
Yeah. And so what was so my perception going into Channelview School for Research, shout out to that phenomenal school that graduated both me and Chrissy and a lot of our close friends.
Yes.
A lot of cool relationships were started there and still exist to this day
Yes.
for a lot of us. And so for me, walking into that school, I'm like, oh, this is different. It's public school. I'm coming from private school.
Yep.
There's culture all around me. I'm not used to that diversity. And so my perception, full transparency of white people, it was that Long Island stereotypical Disney Channel type of thing. And so how was it for you?
So we both came in the same day.
Yeah.
I remember that we were both put into the auditorium because we were both new at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think instantly we were just like, you know what? I'm new, you're new. Everyone's name was called to go to class, and me and you were just sitting there like, all right, I guess we're here. Mr. Mason was like, hey guys, this is your schedule. We wound up going into the same class where we met Mr. Muhammad.
Yeah.
And I think instantly we just became friends because one, we were the new kids. Everyone there had some of the kids had been there since 6th grade, so they already had friendships that were built.
Yeah.
We were both coming at that point from. I was from a Catholic school. You were from a private school, so we both You're a private Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, so similar school differences. Going to a public school. We didn't know the building. That was my first time ever being in there.
Yeah.
And we just immediately bonded. And I think it was crazy because we both came from the same peninsula but separate ends.
Yep.
And met at the school and just instantly clicked. And it's funny because we were so different.
Yeah, very much different. But so much, so I'll get into that later, but when I look at my experience and not, let's say that things played out a different way. Let's say I never went to that school,
Yes.
to Channelview School for research. That would have been a great disservice.
Yeah.
You know, like getting that diversity it was 17 years too late. But how would you say, like, what would life have been if you didn't have that experience?
I don't know. I probably would have still been in the little bubble unless I decided to go to a different school.
Yeah, and the outlook of everyone on our end would have been what you saw probably on TV and the news.
Yeah. It would have been a completely different view. I think it gave us a different outlook on each other's lives because we learned we're not how we are as a person, but we learned each other's family members. We got to meet each other's family. Yeah. We celebrated different holidays together. We had such a great friendship where you celebrated St. Patrick's Day with me and I celebrated like Christmas holidays with your family and got to go to your church and meet the people who you were around your whole life. And where some people would look at it like, oh my God, what is he doing with her? What is she doing with him? Yeah. We got to really see what the other half lives like.
What the other side. It's just funny how that happens. How you know, they say that the most sensitive societies are sensitive because there's no touch with the other party.
Yes.
The most racist societies are racist because they lack contact with the people who they think are a certain way. And it's just interesting that the way that the stars aligned for all of us to meet up at Channelview, which was interesting. And so you're in the school system now.
Yes,
right?
I'm a parent coordinator.
Parent coordinator, there we go. Not a cop, right?
Not a cop. No, this is not. This is actually a Shillelagh Law. It's an Irish band.
There we go.
They'll be getting ready for St. Patrick's Day in Rockaway. Nice. Not this upcoming weekend, but following weekend.
Nice, nice.
So if you want to come down for the parade, have
Shameless
some corned beef
plug.
and cabbage.
There we go. So with knowing your experience, and I remember you coming into Channelview and the perception, because I was part of the dominant minority population at Channelview, and I remember you being perceived as the snobby, kind of rich middle-class white girl.
And no one took the chance to know me. They always thought like, oh, she's from like uptown or up the beach. And I immediately got judged. Yeah. And it was funny because in my whole life, I was, I guess, the majority. And when going to the school, I now became the minority. Yeah. And things flipped, and it was crazy. The first time ever going through like metal detector screenings for school. And yeah, I immediately got judged instantly. And it took me a minute to like realize that's what people go through every single day. Yeah, yeah. When you guys would walk into a store, people would just immediately think, okay, these kids are up to no good. And I like, that's how I felt. I was like, wow, people are just judging me because I was blonde and I had on khakis and an iron shirt, and they thought I was crazy. Yeah. So, it was different. It was a different world.
So how do you get to make sure that the students that you interact with now at your job, that they get that point of view, that it's don't judge people if you haven't come into contact with them? So
in some ways, yes, some ways, no. A lot of my students immediately think the same thing. They think that I don't understand what it's like in Far Rockaway or like in Harvard, which, to be honest, I don't, because I never grew up here. Yeah. But I feel like being friends with you gave me an insight. I learned I was finally on Mott Avenue. You came to 116th Street.
Let me tell you something. This is huge. This moment is huge. Because years ago, if I asked Christy to come down to Mott Avenue, Far Rockaway, you would be
no.
Nah.
I was like, that's where shootings happen. Because all you would see it is on like Channel 5 News, man shot, stores robbed, and I was like, I'm not going down there.
No, and it's cool that we can joke about that, because you know that's the opposite fear too.
For you coming
up
towards me.
For me coming up the beach, I'm like, it's nothing but Italians and Irish people, and I don't know what's gonna go down. You took me to this beautiful spot.
Oh, the Harbor Light for your birthday.
Harbor Light. This was probably a day before Sandy, right?
It was a day, because it was your birthday. We went to the city.
Sandy hit the 25th, 26th.
Yep. Yeah. We went to Applebee's, and the waiter was so rude. We left. Yeah. So that was a restaurant that I grew up going to. Really nice restaurant. Unfortunately, it got burned down with the hurricane. Yep. And then even after the hurricane, you came and took photos of all the devastation in Rockaway. Yeah. And
glad to hear now that it's up.
It's finally building back up a little bit at a time.
That's great.
Little bit at a time. It's taking forever.
But it's cool, because I think the more stories of relationships that bloomed out of,
one school,
out of one school, but not just that, but also in the workplace, and also people coming out and saying, hey, especially at such a divisive time.
Yes.
Right? I think there's a lot of relationships like this.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of strong, it's Black History Month, and
Yep.
are we at a heightened point of divisiveness? Yes. But the cherished relationships that we have with cultures, and being able to come outside of one's box and experience and taste someone else's cuisines,
Yeah.
and experience.
I mean, I had sorrel. Your mom made me sorrel.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, what is this rose water?
Rose water, that's funny. But even it's funny because Guyana is a country that has Irish influence,
Yes.
as well as British
Shepherd's
influence.
pie.
Shepherd's pie, we shared that. I remember we were speaking about foods that we ate. You weren't cool with oxtail, that didn't make sense to you.
No, the curry wasn't my thing.
Curry wasn't your thing, but there were these weird things that got mixed into the culture, like shepherd's pie.
Yep.
and-
It's funny because I grew up fully Irish, so we'd have that. And then when you said that, I was like, what? That's an
Yeah.
Irish meal.
Yeah, Mom used to cook it all the time.
But there are so many cultural differences, but there are some things that we did share. And I feel like if it wasn't for us taking the time to actually get to know each other, I would have always been like, oh no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not going down on 22nd Street. I'm like, I don't go around there. And you were like, I'm not going up towards Bell Harbor.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
go around there. And we took the time to, go to each other's houses, meet each other's family, do different events with each other. So we really got to know the inside of how it was on the other side of the peninsula.
And so what would you say is the best thing about breaking that wall?
You really get to know how people are besides the color of their skin.
Yeah.
Because immediately you would have thought, oh, she's a white girl, she's snobby and bratty, and you realize that I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I realized,
one of the
like,
most down-to-earth human beings on earth, yeah.
exactly the same with you. People might have, like, if you were wearing like a do-rag going to a store, I would have been like, I'm not speaking to that guy. But you were like,
Yeah, that's off
collared
that's
shirt,
instinct, right? That's
yeah,
just
you
being
stick with
raised
your
where you were
natural
raised.
instinct.
Yeah.
So you immediately think like you judge. We live in a society where we judge people too quickly. You immediately think, okay, this person, I don't associate with them. They are not. They don't look like me. They're only what you see on TV.
Yeah.
Which is not true. And we got to know each other for how we are as a person. And I think we grew from that. I mean, 9 years later, we still have a strong friendship.
Definitely.
And we're able to do things together. We go out, meet each other's friends and family, and it's so different. And I feel like so many people are afraid to cross that line or go into a different neighborhood or make friends with people who are not what you're used to. And the show's called The People Around Me.
People around me, yeah.
And it's funny because if you look at me, people would be like, oh, he's not.
She's around you?
She's around you? Where is she from?
Yeah.
But it shows how different it is. And if you live in a world where you grow up only seeing certain people, or you raise your children only around specific genders or races or ethnicities, then
Something's lacking.
yeah, you're growing them in a bubble, and they're not going to have a future that they can, because we live in a work field. Like, we live in a world where you're going to work with people of different races, different genders, different colors. So races and colors, different ethnicities.
Yeah.
And you might have a boss who's a different color or race or sex than you are. You're still going to have to listen to them. If you grow up in a world where, oh no, we don't go towards Far Rockaway, or we don't go towards Bell Harbor. You're being raised in a bubble, because the real world isn't like that. It might be like that in Rockaway, but you said New York is such a melting pot, and you're going to have people of a different everything. And the more you associate with different people, I feel like you're just growing yourself as a person.
Yep. It's true. It's funny because, so there has to be a tolerance, right?
Yes.
Understand on both sides.
Yes.
Understanding that two worlds are different, and when the two worlds do meet for the first time, there has to be a level of leniency.
Yes.
As in, there were certain things that you said when we first met that was extremely offensive, right? Off the bat. Also, some things that I probably said that were probably offensive to you. But when you jump the gun, there's danger in that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
There's danger in thinking that there's always ill will by a statement said by someone who's never come into contact with someone of your culture before.
Exactly.
And, we see that, even, not to get dark, but the things that people do at some of the Auschwitz sites.
Yes.
Right? In Germany, it's like, oh, it's not Disney World.
Yeah.
Right? Like, have a little bit more sensitivity in what you're doing here. But some people, their minds are weird.
What they're used to. What they
ta-
were raised to think.
Yeah, it may take someone pulling them to the side from the culture to say, hey, nah, don't do that. Do you know what happened here?
Exactly.
And so I think we had a lot of those moments where it's like, nah, Chrissy, don't nah, don't say that, right?
Because we grew up in different worlds where you would think certain things and you would say stuff and I'd be like, you can't say that.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I would say something, you'd be like, no,
And it was a
I can't say that.
constant.
But we were never fighting
take.
about it.
No,
we wouldn't.
no.
That's the
Yeah.
difference. You have to grow from it.
Yeah.
So I think that was great. You guys would say like, okay, you would explain things.
Yeah.
Like I never had beef patty with cocoa bread, and you
No.
guys, I'm like, what is this? What is?
Yeah.
I never ate from the Getty, and you guys would be like, no, it's so good. So like, I would try it or whatever. Oh my God, that's making my stomach hurt now just thinking of that from the Getty. Why would we eat from there?
I don't know. High school.
But you have to be able to grow.
Yeah.
Like a rubber band. You got to be able to stretch and bend for different things. Otherwise, you're just going to be in this world where you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think you're going to live in a bubble your whole life, you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in closing, I think this was a solid conversation.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty obvious what narrative we're trying to start, right?
You could live on a small peninsula.
Small
And
peninsula.
never know what the other side is like
Never.
until you take the chance to know
Yeah.
and make a friend. And
a
9-year friendship, still growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
now we know the whole family. We know
Yeah.
your whole family. You know my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like your nephew growing up, he's so cute. So it's
Yeah,
different.
No, it's awesome, and I wouldn't, if I were to reverse how things happened, was I upset with leaving my private school at the time that I did, knowing that was all that I knew, of course, but I wouldn't rewrite that script any other way. But anyway, until next time.
All right.
Thanks a ton, Chrissy, for coming through.
Thank you for having me. 2019, people around me.
Of course, there we go. And everyone, please feel free to subscribe. Not feel free. If you love the content, subscribe anyway. Like the video, share it, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Sounds good.